Hey guys, another video on my sim rig setup. I thought I'll do some videos on how I am setting things up and as I'm learning, and hopefully this will help others maybe do things the same way or even better. If you've seen my other videos, you know I'm using Wave Italy pedals, and this is an option. This is a base. It's raised with the heel rest, as you can see. And I'm using a P1X rig. Now, I ordered the pedal plate with the P1X as an option. And I also ordered sliders. So if you saw my last video, you probably saw I have two Sparco sliders and a Recaro slider. These Sparco sliders are about 14 and a half inch apart, and the Recaro is about 16 inches apart. So I cannot use the Recaro with this plate. So I'm using the Sparco, and I'm probably going to end up using the Recaro with the seat and going to end up with a spare Sparco slider. I did customize this, and that's what I wanted to go over. If you look at Sim-lab's instructions on their website, I'll show you real quick here. And this shows how to put this together. The way it is set up, and if you look at their pictures, if you see the adjustment bar which moves the slider is actually behind the pedals. That's the way it is shown in the P1X pictures and the slider pictures. And I think that is so that it's not in your way when you're using the rig. But to me, that would make things a little bit more difficult to move the slider if I needed to, because that would be underneath one of my desks, and to get in there I would have to pull it up with one hand and try to move it. So kind of awkward. So what I did is I switched things around. So I put it on backwards. As you can see, this would be the front. This is where the heels would be. And the slider is the handle on this side, so it's backwards. The other thing I did is, the way I set it up is that to move the slider, you actually have to push down on this bar instead of pulling it up, which is the usual way for a seat slider, is you pull it up and you move the seat, which will be the case probably in my seat. But for this, I thought it would be more convenient to set it up to push down, so I can easily push down with one hand and pull it back or forward, or even push it down with my feet and move it if I needed to. So that works. You can see it looks the same way, but it's just reversed, mounted, so you have to push down to move it. The other thing I had to do is I had to modify the base plate to mount the Wave Italy setup here. So what I did is I had to drill some holes, and that's what I wanted to show. So you can see I have some screws here, and there's screws here. These are M6. These are 20 millimeters long. I've ordered some 25 millimeters because I wanted to put some washers on top and bottom, and I've ordered some flange nuts and flange washer nuts as bolts and nuts both. So I want to get as much contact on these four as possible, so I need a little bit longer. Now the other thing about the Sim-lab setup is that they provide these spacers between the plate and the slider, which is pretty cool. So it gives you room enough to put nuts and stuff, and the more height you can get on this, the better. You really want your feet raised up at about, at the level of where your bum is, basically on your seat. Also wanted to show all the neat hardware that Sim-lab sends you, and there is a lot. And I won't need all of it, but it's good to have all that. And just to give you an idea, this bag is just for the pedal tray, which you see right here. Now, all this allows you to mount it to the 80/20 rig, the P1X, using the T connectors. Also allows you to mount your pedals, so it's all kind of screws there, depending on what you have. Then you have the slider base, same case there, you know, depending on how you want it put on your own. So they don't skip on hardware. And that's a great thing about Sim-lab. They send you everything, even though I ordered all these options separately and I won't need all of them. And there's also more hardware for just a seat slider. So I ordered an extra seat slider, so I got a lot of hardware, which is good to have when you're doing 80/20 rigs. So I'm going to remove this just to show you what I had to do to get this mounted. I don't have nuts here, just the screws there, so you can see how it goes on. And I'm just going to lift up with one hand. Just going to put it aside here. So here's the base plate. So what I ended up doing is I'm using the first slot right here for the front screws, the front bolts, those ones. And then I had to drill 2 holes in the back. These holes right here. As you can see, everything lines up perfectly, everything's square. The bolts go in and out easily. I lifted that with one hand. This is 1/2 inch thick, maybe more. It's all aluminum. Aluminum is easy to drill, but it is tricky. So you really have to be careful when doing this. Is you have to set your base, the pedal base, and this plate perfectly the way you want it, position wise, and then you have to mark the holes, and you have to make sure everything's squared up, because any movement here would cause a misalignment and things won't fit, and you don't want to be drilling again. So you have to be very careful marking everything. And then for drilling, the best way to do it is use sharp bits, go medium speed, not too slow, not too high, because you're basically carving aluminum. And you start with a small bit and work your way up. For this M6, I ended up with a 1/4 inch bit, and I started out, I forget what it was, but I used a total of 5 bits, from 1 to the 5th one, which was 1/4 inch. And this is M6, and this allows the M6 to fit perfectly, and it slides in. A little bit movement, which you want. I could have threaded this, but since it's aluminum, I really don't want to thread this, because aluminum threads can be soft and brittle, and they can break and chip, and they can even bind up. Really don't want to mess with that, so I wanted to make the hole a little bit bigger for the steel bolt to go in through easily. So it lines up pretty good. So next time when you see this setup, I'll do another video. I should have pedals on this, and I'll show how to mount the pedals. Now I have a setup here with the second hole here and the second hole here, and I can raise this a little bit more if I need more height. I may need to take this out as well when I'm installing the pedals. I'll figure that out. But I'll do another video to show that. I'll also do a video on the seat mount, the seat slider and brackets, and the P1X. Hopefully this helps others doing something similar. But yeah, this should work out great. I took a day or two to think about this, how to do this, and then ended up with the solution, which worked out pretty good. And I didn't have to do drastic modifications It took my time drilling holes, took about 30 minutes or so. You really want to be very careful and not mess things up. But yeah, talk to you guys next time, and I'll do more videos to show how things are going. Thanks again.